Hello and welcome everyone to our midweek live stream. This is a new initiative by Wright Research where we want to, you know, touch base with our community in the middle of the week and do an overview of the markets. So that what do we have today to cover?
So we're going to quickly go through a bunch of topics from starting
Right.
with what the market has sort of done in the last
Mm,
night, overnight, and over the last few days, along with some major events that have happened in this week.
definitely. So I think the biggest thing and something that everybody is worried about is the correction that is happening in the market, right?
Correct,
So
correct.
if you look at the global market to take a cue, see markets haven't opened yet, but in the pre-markets, or if you look at the Asian markets, you are seeing a downward trend, right? A sell-off happening across different geographies, right?
Yes,
And we might see that sort of come to the Indian market at the open as well. Um, we've had 5 negative days for the markets, right?
absolutely, yes. And
And
just talking about the US markets, also, I think one of the largest drops happened yesterday for them, at least for the Nasdaq. Right, so I think that could very well crop into the market today, like you said.
definitely. And what is also quite extremely worrying is that small cap stocks are correcting the most. The small and mid caps, and a lot of portfolios have exposure to them. I think the majority of us have exposure to small and mid caps, and that is worry. But what I would say here is that these stocks, why do we invest into them is because we see great potential in them, and that great potential is there for the long term, right? And any correction that happens, if you're investing into the long term, then you shouldn't be worried about this. And I think any of the portfolios that Wright offers, we always talk about the long term, right? So our intention is never to give anybody a short term call. Uh, Second thing is, see, why is this correction happening? So what would you think? I think there are so many news stories coming out about it, but what could be the major reasons for this correction? Siddharth?
Yeah, hi, can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear you. So what I was saying is, ki in terms of the market, that what could be the correction reason, right? So number one could be obviously, the Israel war, right? Israel war. If you look at the trends right now, what you would see in the last week, uh, small caps have corrected, mid caps have corrected deeply. You've seen Nifty correct, but gold is up, right? And that is a totally risk-off rally, right?
Correct, correct, absolutely. And I
Yeah.
think another factor here could also be the which is a little speculative, right? Like we kind of discussed this off air. Potentially, maybe with elections are coming up in the next couple of months. State elections are going to happen. I think in 4, 5 key states, and leading up to major elections happening, of course, in the coming year. So that could also be one of the reasons why
Right.
the markets could be a
Right.
little volatile right now.
Yeah, yeah. And I think a lot of people ask us about the elections, right? So what I typically tell them is, the election effect will not come on the day of the election; it will come beforehand. So the
Correct,
market might be giving us some hints, but it is a little bit speculative to talk about it right now, right?
correct, correct, absolutely.
Yeah, yeah. Apart from that, I think there has been a worry on small cap valuations, right? There are a lot of small cap that had rallied a lot, right? Then
Absolutely.
because of their smaller sizes, they're getting hit. Certain stocks have very low free float cap, right? So the prices move very rapidly, and those are the reasons why you're seeing a bigger impact in the small and mid cap sector. But I think the long term view still remains strong, right? I think India fundamentally remains strong for the long term, and we are all investing for the long term, right? And I think that it should be the theme when we're looking at the market right now.
Correct, correct. And any thoughts on the FPIs or the DIIs sort of that's happening in the
Yeah,
space? Do you think the sell off will continue in that
right.
sense?
So I think we've seen FPI sell-off recently. I think with the US Treasury yields, uh, rising, and the US dollar sort of getting stronger, the rates, the Fed chairman saying that they might raise the rates again. People are again rushing towards safety of the dollar, right?
Yeah.
And sort of putting these. So that trend could continue. Plus, the recessionary situation in the US might be getting a little worse, and things like that are worsening the sentiment right now. Uh, But this might as well be a shorter span correction, but we sort of have to watch out for it. Right?
Correct, correct, absolutely, no, absolutely.
Yeah. So let's now talk about what's happening in the market and the major events.
So I think the major event this week has been quarter two results have been coming out for a lot of companies, right?
Yeah.
I think today we have Asian Paints, Punjab, PNB, and Shriram Finance probably from the bigger lot
Mm.
that will see results.
Definitely. And if you look at the broader market, I think the earnings have been mixed, right? We've seen
Mm-hmm.
muted earnings from the IT pack. Tech Mahindra posted the earnings, recently, and their revenues were down 2.8%. Net profit was down 62%, right?
Yeah, yeah,
So, but nobody was expecting magic to happen in the IT space. And what's very interesting is that FPIs are now, buying the IT pack, which could be very interesting. If you look at banking, I think Axis Bank released the earning recently. They had a 10% growth in profit, and net income grew by around 19%. This was good, but banks seem to be facing a little bit of net interest margin pressure, right? Which could
yeah.
be a thing to watch out for. But I think, see, there has been a mixed bag of results. Some have been bad, but there have been a few good ones also. So I won't say that this is a bad earnings season. I think this is a mixed bag, and we're seeing new themes sort of emerge, right?
Correct, correct. I think there are pockets where there is, there are good sort of revenue and sort of positive numbers coming out, and then obviously a little mixed results on the other side as
Right.
well.
So next let's talk about this thing that we talked about in the last video, Siddharth, which was October effect, right?
Yeah,
October
yeah.
effect. What it means is people typically see that 9 out of 10 times October has been a positive month for the market, but this time it doesn't seem to be the case, right?
Correct. So I think the what we can see at least based on data, right? Like you said, I think one in last 10 years it's been red. October
Mm-hmm.
currently will probably end in red. Is the current expectation for most of us. Having said that, the last time this happened coincidentally was also during 2018, which was just before the Lok Sabha elections, right? So again, this is speculative, but that is what the data was showing us, right?
Right.
So it could be that the markets may remain jittery for October, but what is evident through research and historical data was that November and December were typically much better months, probably on account of festivals and sort of the market, people investing in the market in that sort of downturn that had happened in October in those
Definitely.
areas as
And
well.
we are seeing the growth of consumption, right? Like we talked about,
Correct,
consumption
absolutely.
is in fact growing, and that might have effect. But like you said, that state elections are coming up, right? And the
Correct,
results of it will sort of pave the way for what's going to happen in the Lok Sabha election, and things might get jittery. But see, the broader themes, I don't think the structural themes that India has, they won't change with the regime continuing or not continuing, right? But
correct, correct.
obviously, it definitely would have a impact, right? Which happens across the world, right?
Correct, absolutely, and I think this is something that we are also looking at a little closely with the election. So
Right.
there might be an article coming out on this soon, along with a video on it as well. But I think it'll be an interesting space to watch for sure.
Definitely, definitely. Now let's talk about the festive season, Siddharth. I think that's going to be the theme for the next couple of weeks. Obviously, not the biggest theme because of the correction that's happened, but
Sure,
festive season will be something to watch out for, especially for the consumption sector. FMCG, autos, consumer durables. Everybody is seeing a lot of buying. E-commerce players, right? So it's a
correct,
good
correct.
time for all these sectors, and we have seen a 20% increase in sales for e-commerce, right? And
Yes.
in fact, a lot of mutual fund houses right now have started. We saw, I think, HSBC and I forget the name, but a couple of fund houses have sort of launch a consumption fund right this week. So
Hmm.
everybody, I think, just before the festive season, people seem to be betting on the consumption theme. So that
Sure.
could be something interesting to watch out for, and so that consumption theme is typically acyclical, right? It doesn't depend on the market cycles, right?
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So
Absolutely.
could be a good bet in volatile times as well, right?
Correct. Correct. Yeah, and I think the retailers are also expecting it to be positive. They're obviously they'll set their expectations accordingly, but the general sentiment seems to be that the consumption cycle should start picking up again.
definitely,
in the current season.
right. Now let's quickly go over other interesting things that happened in the market recently.
Hmm.
So I think we all were talking about yesterday about Bapov chart, very well-known Twitter and YouTuber who sort of got banned by SEBI yesterday and faced a huge
Correct.
amount of fine, right?
Yeah, yeah. It was
Uh,
around,
so
I think, 20 crores. It's a pretty high amount. If I'm not wrong.
So I think that is what something for us to sort of understand that all the fin influencers who sort of come out and make these claims, right? You have to take it with a grain of salt, and the regulator seems to be watching now, and I think what you have to do is not fall prey to this. Make sure that you follow somebody who is registered with the SEBI, right? Who's following the protocol.
Correct.
Plus, don't if anybody is promising you, high returns in few days and this and that, please stay away from that, right? There seems to be a
Correct.
lot of such activity going on in the market, and I think investors have to be a little careful about it. Right?
Absolutely, and I think SEBI obviously is doing the right thing here by sort of curtailing these sort of unregistered entities that are chasing after short-term gains for investors. And
Yeah,
the idea here is obviously focus on the long-term goals, focus on your plan, and sort of stick to it. Don't just sort of stray from it just because
right,
short-term gains are sort of there. Right?
right. Next, we have, I think, what else is new in the market today?
I think there are IPOs. A few IPOs are coming out in the next couple of days or
Mm-hmm.
weeks, right, just before the festive season, Diwali at least starts. I think Mama Earth was one of the IPOs that people are maybe looking at. Maybe Tata Technologies also. So
Mm-hmm.
that's something exciting that's happening, at least in the IPO space. That's not something that we typically look at, but it is happening in the market.
Right, right. And then you have yeah, and I think these IPOs there, festive season is there, and we have to watch out for what's going on into the market. I think the pre-open hints at around a point 0.5 drop in the Nifty, 0.5%.
Okay.
Sensex hints at a 0.43% drop, and you have Nifty Bank also going to correct 0.3% at the open, right? And I
Yeah.
think we are going to see a few lower circuits in the small cap universe
Yeah.
this morning as well. But I think so that another thing to note here is today is expiry, right? So
Correct. Correct.
if there's a lot of short build-up that has happened, right, in the last half an hour, you could expect that to reverse, right? So that could be an interesting bet. I think today's half an hour of trade, 3 to 3:30, is going to be extremely interesting, right? Whenever you see
Absolutely.
any directional pressure on the market, the expiry date tends to be extremely interesting, right? So I think that
Correct.
should be something very interesting to watch out for. Uh, Apart from it, quickly let's talk about what's happening with our portfolios. Obviously, we've seen correction, right, which is as expected. The whole universe of stocks is seeing a correction, but I think the portfolios remain robust, right? This
Yeah.
is this has not breached any critical levels yet. We keep on checking our indicators that tell us about is this time to deallocate or go into the risk off zone. We're still waiting for those signals, so we haven't done that. But this correction is happening across the board, and I think our portfolios are healthy, and we'll take our deallocation or shift in allocation decision as needed. Let's quickly talk about the New India portfolio that we touched upon in the last webinar.
Hmm.
Uh, New India continues to be very strong performer. It has also obviously seen correction in the last couple of days, and like you were saying that the election theme might be a little bit of worry. So New India does have an election theme, but what you have to understand is that this portfolio is also very dynamic, right? So if we see volatility in certain set of stocks, we will shift across the universe, right? So you could see, like you've seen, even ITC, even consumption stocks have an allocation here, right? Because they do
Yeah.
have a benefit coming from a lot of these PLI policies. So I think the
Hmm.
same would happen, and this would also be very robust in the risk scenario. And obviously it's an amazing long term bet because that growth story would be there, right?
Correct, correct. So I think the theme of the conversation, I suppose, is that these sort of short term blips will happen, and maybe it could be potential buying opportunities for people that are interested, right? But if you focus on a longer term horizon, then these are just sort of temporary blips for me.
Definitely. So I think Siddharth, the markets have opened. What we
Yeah,
would tell our listeners today is that have a long-term horizon, right? When you're investing into the market, right, you will only get the benefit in the long term. Short-term correction will be part of the process, and go with a good advisor, right, who can give you the right advice in the times of risk as well. And don't worry about what's happening in the market. It might as well be a healthy correction, and if it isn't, right, then if it's a longer term correction, then you would see allocation changes happening in your portfolio if you are with Right, which will align more towards the new regime, right? So
correct.
thanks a lot, everyone.
Absolutely.
I think the markets have opened, and uh, and please do comment on this and let us know if you want us to do more such midweek reviews, or and what else you want us to talk about. Have a great
Yeah.
day, a great week.
Take care. Bye.